Got to shout out Salam Remy for sending it.
Mm-hmm.
He signed a prototype at the top. So
That's
I was
dope.
like, oh, I got to wear this for
That's
the
real
hip-hop
dope.
episode.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Where are my most beautiful queens in the house? Where are my most beautiful queens in the house?
Well, greetings, everyone. So, welcome to the Queen's Address. I'm your host, Jamilah, and welcome into the Queendom. Okay? And so today we have very special guests. We have Dr. Jason Rawls joining us today. His superhero name is J. Rawls.
She put the doctor on.
Okay. We also have Maurice Bailey
Woo.
in the house tonight, but his superhero name is
Like,
Mixmaster Ice. Okay,
Yes,
and this
indeed.
is the hip hop
supposed to say
episode.
you.
I'm so excited to introduce these brothers. Guys, thank you for joining us.
Peace.
for having us
Indeed.
today.
Yes.
Indeed.
And so, welcome. And before we really get into it, I want to give, from the Queen's Address, we want to give our condolences for the loss of the educated rapper and Kango Kid.
Appreciate that.
We are grateful for them and their contribution to
Big
hip hop.
time.
And so this episode is dedicated to them. And so thank you. UTFO,
Yeah.
50 years of hip hop.
Untouchable
We
force.
get all the cameras, camera 1 and camera 2. So happy birthday to hip hop.
Word.
Okay. And I'm going to show that to camera. This is J. Rawls, everybody. He's always thinking of the next move.
Young.
Okay. And so I just want y'all to see what you're dealing with.
Way back.
Wow.
And okay, and we
Back
got-
into time.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Show that chest.
Mixmaster
Show that
Ice.
chest.
That's him right there. Yeah. Driving the ladies crazy
That was
with
us.
this one. And you know what? At
Getting
some point
live
during this
and legal.
episode, we have to unpack y'all's skincare routine
Okay.
as well. Okay, you guys were
Skincare
definitely
on point.
driving the ladies crazy.
Skeezer pleasers.
Okay, the
Pleaser.
Caesar pleaser. Okay, and so we got to unpack that album cover later on in this episode. But Jay Rawls, I wanted to start with you. Okay,
Indeed.
you are a professor
Yeah.
of hip hop
Yeah.
at the university level, and can you talk a little bit about the program at Ohio State?
Definitely. Well, the program is brand new. We are endeavoring to create a hip-hop studies program, and that really does not exist at this time. There are plenty of universities that have hip-hop courses, different things, bringing hip-hop into the classroom, which is great. But at this point in time, there's a movement to bring hip-hop into higher education, into academia, in the same sense that you would do women's studies or black studies or jazz studies, hip-hop studies.
Exactly.
And so part of this this plan that we have at Ohio State is to they've hired 2 professors, so myself and Stevie, Dr. View, and Stevie and I are going to be, we're basically just trying to start this idea and grow it, because it can't just be 2 people doing this, right? And the idea is to bring hip hop from a cultural sense,
Right.
and also musical
Right.
sense. So we wanted to do both. So my departments, I'm dual departments. I have a Department of African American and African Studies, and I'm in the School of Music. So it's a mixture. So my goal is to bring both sides to fruition,
Right.
and to bring it to so students can study it.
Exactly.
I mean, hip hop is worthy of being studied. I mean,
Right.
we've been here 50 years, right?
I understand and I can appreciate it. My sister went to Spelman.
Sure.
And they had a jazz appreciation course
Got it.
her sophomore year. And so to see it go from the early 2000s, and now we have hip hop
Huge,
as a
right?
course
Huge.
at a university.
And the hope is as a program.
Exactly.
Like eventually, maybe a concentration onto a certificate to maybe a minor, eventually down to a major. So
Come on
this is
now.
where I'm trying to move it.
Listen, stop playing with them. Okay?
Big moves right there.
Trying
Stop
to do some
playing.
things.
Oh, but I just also have to ask: does this ever feel like work for you? I know how much you love hip hop. You get to teach hip hop. You get to you are MC. You get to DJ. Like you get to do. Like you're surrounded
Is
by
it
all
work?
four corners of hip hop. Does it feel like work?
I mean, to an extent, it's work when I get home and I'm tired. But I mean, I love doing it, so it's not. It doesn't stop. Like when I leave here, I'll go back and do some work because it's just part of who I am.
Right. No, I get it.
Y'all
I
know.
totally, and I respect that. And now, Mixmaster Ice, I have a question for you.
Yes, indeed.
You are a Hall of Fame DJ and a member of the legendary legendary group UTFO.
Yes.
When did you know that hip hop was for you? When you said this is what I'm gonna do, when was that spark?
It was in. It really hit me probably in '79 when I was graduating from the 8th grade, getting ready to go to high school. We had a prom dance, and at that prom dance we had a DJ and a couple of MCs on the mic, crowd rocking and doing all that sort of thing. So you had the DJ playing the music on the turntables, and you got the disco lights going on, and girls is dancing, going crazy. You got a guy talking stuff on the mic, and I was like, "Wow, this is it."
This is it.
I knew I was going to be involved. I just had to figure out which element of hip hop I was going to come into.
Right? Because did you start out? I read somewhere that you started out MCing.
I started off rapping because that was the easiest way in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That was just pen and a pad. That's all you need. And if you know how to write a sentence and make something rhyme, you rapping.
You in.
Right.
So I started off from the basic standpoint and blueprint of how you start to become a rapper. And it was my first touch of the turntable in 1980 that made me realize I want to DJ. So I was kind of doing both at the time. And so I still had a little arsenal of rhymes, but I was very interested in the DJing culture and getting involved with that.
Right.
So early in the game, I started off as a rapper at first, and then shortly transitioned into doing both, and then concentrating strictly on DJing, because by the time I started focusing strictly on DJing, we had formed a whole group back then where I had MCs.
Right.
So I just fell back on the rhymes, let them do what they was doing, and I focused more on the DJing.
Right.
Me and the educated rapper both used to DJ.
Okay.
We started off, before there was a UTFO, me and him was a part of a group called the Jamilah Crew, which was a DJ group.
Okay.
Of me, him, and about 3 or 4 other DJs. And we was just DJing in the neighborhood, combining our systems so that we could have one. And but he was a DJ. He started off writing rhymes, but he used to DJ too. Okay. So we both had the same type of introductory into hip hop as far as rhyming and DJing.
Okay.
That was our induction, probably how we started.
Okay.
And then when I took over the DJ ranks, he fell back more into the rapping part when we transitioned to a rap group.
Oh, okay.
He focused more on strictly rapping, and then I focused more on strictly DJing.
Okay. And this was around 1980? So
We started the Jamilah Crew in 80. UTFO, we probably started that probably around late 82. Yeah, probably late 82, early 83.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all were kids.
Yeah.
Y'all were
Yeah.
just running around, just
We teenagers, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think that's incredible.
Hip hop was created by teenagers.
Yeah, yeah, it sure was. It's like a rebellion.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's what I know. I wanted to also go back to very quickly, J. Rawls. Well, this question be for both of you. What are some of your influences in music?
Music, period.
Period. Just not just hip hop, but
Yeah,
overall.
I'm influenced by producers, like a Rod Temperton type of thing, even David McCollum. Like I like arrangements. I like, musical. Like I'm for me, whenever I create music, and you might notice that if you listen to my music, like it's not meant just like, that's why probably
Boom,
a lot
bap.
of
Right, it's not just
battle
boom,
rappers
bap.
don't just They probably don't use my stuff because it's meant to give you a feeling.
Right.
That's why the instrumental albums
It's a
work
vibe.
for me. Yeah. Like
It's
I
a
want you to
vibe.
feel a certain way. Like the music should make you be like, oh, it should put you in a certain mood. So that's what I look for. So that's why when it comes to hip hop, Jay Dilla, Pete Rock, those kind of
Melodic.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
right.
why Q-Tip, one of my favorites.
Right. And
Rashad.
yeah,
So I got
definitely.
a lot of
Rashad is crazy.
Rashad is incredible.
I've been listening to Hit Boy. Hit Boy
He got some skills.
is a
too.
disruptive influence. Okay,
She came with the
I'm like,
disruptive.
yo, and with Mixmaster, same question.
Mm-hmm.
Are some of your influences in hip hop and when you're mixing and DJing, making music?
You know what? All elements of the culture. It kind of depends on what the set I'm DJing for, as I'm entertaining. If I'm just at home and I'm just doing it from a hobby perspective, it's just me. It kind of depends on the mood that I'm in. I like a lot of the old 70s stuff. I grew up on that stuff. So a lot of the early hip hop, our beats and breaks came from a lot of 60s and 70s records. So I'm highly
Apache.
I'm highly inspired by those artists, those producers and composers from that era, because that was what we as DJs were using to rock the parties, to give the MCs a bed to rap over, to give the break dancers that groove that they can spin and do all the tricks that they do. Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Absolutely.
When it was in its purest form.
Yes. Before it got
I used to
before it
daydream
got
about
commercial.
those parties you talk about, those rooftop parties and
Yes.
the parties that like speakeasy type
Yes.
hip hop style parties. Like no one from the discos would even go
Right.
and be caught dead at one of those like
Right.
basement hip hop parties.
Right.
But it wasn't for everyone yet.
It was, yeah.
And I when you bring that up, I just think, oh my gosh, like when I hear Grandmaster Flash talk about the beginning,
Yeah.
the beginning,
Getting
birth.
it right out of the mud.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a time to be alive. And so, oh my gosh, yeah, that's incredible. And so I also wanted to get you guys' opinion. You guys probably already aware that Chuck D and KRS have launched a hip hop union. And so I just want to know what you guys thought about that in terms of hip hop artists, fighting against exploitation and bad deals and things like that. And so, Mixmaster, would you want to start with that one?
Yeah, it's long overdue, and it just shows a force of unity. And, a lot of things have happened over the past and journey of hip hop. And that's just part of the growth as well. That is big business. So we need to be involved with it from a big business perspective. And other conglomerates and different, big business companies have these same elements in place.
Right.
So
and it's never about the talent.
Yeah.
But the talent is doing all the work.
Yes. So
and we all heard about Rule 4080.
Yes.
And so to see Chuck
Right.
D, get together with KRS
That's powerful.
is very powerful. J. Rawls, what you have to thought?
I hadn't heard that. I ain't even gonna lie,
Yeah.
and I just was with Chuck D a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. I'll be honest, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I think definitely like speaking to a lot of people in the industry. When I talk to them, a lot of them haven't even really thought about medical insurance or that kind of thing, or just different things like to live, like
Dental insurance, health insurance,
exactly,
like to
like
see
things like that.
Our legends not even
Yeah.
able to, take care of a loved one's
Exactly.
burial
And
expenses.
so that's
and
why something like hearing something like that is very encouraging. Because
I think it's empowering the hip hop community.
That's what we need. Yeah,
Exactly.
We should be thinking in that.
Exactly. And so shout out to Chuck D and KRS,
Yes,
the
indeed.
hip hop community. We're proud of what y'all are doing, and we're gonna keep the faith. And so we're gonna ask very quickly. Ice, I want to start with you.
Okay.
So women in hip hop, 2023. Okay, we see Cardi, we see Ice Spice, we see City Girls, Meg. There's a lot of criticism from the hip hop community about the lack of creativity in today's lineup of mainstream female rappers, and they trying to classify it as low vibrational. And I just really want to know what your thoughts were about the 2023 female rappers or women rappers happening right now.
That's an interesting question that I can go a lot of different ways with. But right off the top of my head, business a lot of times is always going to be about supply and demand. And if the end result is money, a lot of times people are put in positions that may be uncomfortable because they're chasing the dollar instead of integrity. So there's layers to this hip hop. There's an integrity part to it, and there's also a big business part. Some people have to decide what's best for them. So from the female perspective, you know, some of them may feel sex sells, that sexuality sells, and it may sell, but it may be a trade-off of integrity too. So it kind of depends on where you at with this and how serious you take it. Some people take it as entertainment. Some people take it as a lifestyle. And it's different for different
Especially
folks.
if you're impressionable.
Yeah. So it depends. If you just in it for the money, then you don't care how you get it. If you in it to leave an impressionable legacy built around integrity, then there's certain moves you will make and there's certain moves you will not make. It depends on the individual. Right. But hip hop is big business. And a lot of times when you sign these record deals with certain companies and these 360 deals you hear about where they got their hand in everything you do now, you know, hip hop has always been a pimp and hoe kind of system. You know?
We're going to keep it real.
It's just keeping it real.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just how it is. You got the big companies and then you got the artists.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, to go back to the female thing you're talking about, you know, when you look at who puts certain artists on the top, a lot of times that's built around marketing and how much marketing goes into an artist. So there's female rappers that are not as explicit as maybe your Cardis and Ice Spices and all them, but you don't hear about them as much because the marketing is not there.
Listen,
right? And could be several reasons for that.
Come on now.
Right? You know, but it's there if you want it. But what you're going to see on the charts is what the people that are in control wants on the chart.
Whoever has the machine behind
right.
them. Right.
So, you know, it's deep.
Absolutely. Jay Rawls, what are your thoughts about the criticism of women in hip hop?
He already went there. First of all, that was a perfect answer from a legend. That was
Appreciate it.
That was it. I would just add that. Let me just take where he left off because the machine is what's driving that when you see these women doing that. Because if you do want to sign a major deal and be that successful, you may have to be in some skin tight or something barely there.
Right.
Like to get, sex sales.
Right.
But it depends on what you as an individual, when we talk about individuals,
as an individual,
what are you looking for? Like if you're out and you want to hear lyrics, then you may, you
have to look.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might have to do some research and find a Rhapsody or a Cyrock. You know, these artists are out there. Shay Noir, like these artists are out there. You just got to.
We were just talking about No Name.
Yeah, No
She's
Name.
incredible.
Right? You got to go find. You know, it may not be on the top of the charts, but it's out there. So that it's out there. So people.
Shout out to my sister Moni Love.
Moni, right?
Her and Sky Zoo did their thing.
I mean, and so when you have these criticisms, they can criticize, but there's still other artists. So find something else.
Right. As someone. Well, I'm obviously female.
Obviously.
But for me, I'm a woman with knowledge of self.
Indeed.
Okay, and sometimes I find myself going back to Muhammadiyah, Lauryn Hill. And then I hear a lot of young women say, well, y'all from the generation where y'all had Little Kim and Foxy. So don't get mad at Ice Spice. Don't speak on, Cardi. Don't speak on Matt because they just want to rap about twerking and having whatever for a handbag or some shoes. And I'm like, listen, we had Foxy. We also had Lil' Kim. We even had Charlie Baltimore, who was also a great lyricist. But to counter that, we also had Missy Elliott. We had MC Lyte. We had so many others.
But Jamilah, that's the machine. That's what we're talking about, right?
So, to your point.
That's what I'm saying.
And even with that, at least there was a little bit more of mainstream diversity when it comes, because hip hop is not a monolith. Like when I hear people say, "Oh, well, y'all had Foxy and Kim," I'm like, "Yeah, but we also had X, Y, and Z, you know, and we've had Lady of Rage and Moni and Yo-Yo, and so it's not." And they were rapping about things that were happening in their neighborhood. They were rapping about teen pregnancy and drug abuse. And so when I see them try and say, "Oh, well, you guys are just critical, y'all are just some haters," or y'all, and I'm like, I just really wish that we could, you know, get more.
But
you know,
I don't think you're going to get that because the mainstream, the machine is not going to push that. That's my point. That even
but
young
Rhapsody
people,
did win a Grammy.
True, but Rhapsody. Who else? Okay, that they got one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but that's what I'm saying. The mainstream is not going to push. They're not going to push that. So when they say that, that's okay. But I would just tell a young person today, nah, that's what's up. Cardi B, all them, that's dope. Who else is out there?
Right.
And just ask them, like, do some research. Do the knowledge. See what else is out there.
No, you got me.
That's what I say.
You got it. You got it.
Facts.
And so with the female rep, we got to talk about Roxanne Roxanne.
Yes, okay.
We got to talk about Roxanne Roxanne and UTFO. This was a classic album.
Thank you.
I remember growing up, I want to say, what was it, 88.1? It was an Akron radio station. It was heavy rotation.
Wow.
Okay.
And 93 FM. And it was between UTFO and I want to say Slick Rick and like it was like y'all were like how the Migos is on,
right?
You know, and so it was a major smash, major. And when it hit the airwaves, how did that feel? Like knowing that it was such a smash?
Well, that was actually off of our second single. We had a single prior to that one called Beats and Rhymes that did okay. Not a big impact, but definitely created a buzz. We got played on New York radio. It's called Beats and Rhymes. And some shows came as a result of that as well. And the record did good enough for Select Records to give us another single deal. We didn't have an album deal. UTFO first had single deals. Okay. So Beats and Rhymes was the first single. And then that came out in early 84. And then later in 84, they gave us another single deal, which the A side was called Hanging Out. Hanging Out was supposed to be the hit. The B side was Roxanne Roxanne.
Wow.
Really, actually, almost a throw together record that we just did to satisfy the record company because they wanted a B side. But the marketing and the money was originally going into Hanging Out. Hanging Out was the A side.
Yo.
But Roxanne is the one that took off.
You heard it here first, y'all. Wow.
That's unless you had the 12
I never
inch.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got the 12 inch.
So it was like, yeah. And I read somewhere that what was it? DJ Red Alert.
Red Alert was one of the first ones, if not the first ones, to say, Hanging Out's cool, but I like this B side.
Really? So he was suggesting that to be
he started playing it on his rap show
when DJ
Red Alert was doing his mix show on in New York radio. I think he was at Kiss at that time, Kiss FM, and he played Hanging Out, but he would go hard with Roxanne Roxanne, which was the B side.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this too now, because my memory, you call one to be with me. Now, was that on this album? Because I grew up in Mansfield, Ohio. We only had singles.
You Call One to Be With Me was on our third album.
And what year was that?
That came out in 1987.
Okay.
Lethal. Right?
And so
Lethal. The name of the album was called Lethal.
Lethal. Okay, I'm glad you.
And You Call One to Be With Me was the first single off of that album.
Now that had an R&B vibe to it to us when we were, and so like my uncles and the guys would play the tape.
Right.
to the millennials, tapes look like this. You guys stream, and I get that. Spotify, Pandora, Tidal, whatever. But we used to have to use these. Okay? And we had the tape. And the guys, I remember Jerry curls were real heavy in our town back then. And so they had the shades and all the gold and had the shiny skin. But that was this jam. That was the hot jam for all the players.
Okay.
You cold one to be with me.
Okay.
So, listen. If you were the ladies' man, you had that tape playing in the summertime or at the basketball court.
Wow.
Did you make that beat or did you?
Full Force were our producers. Full Force produced that.
Full Force. Now, I have to ask you a question about Roxanne Roxanne again. Did they sing the hook on Roxanne Roxanne or did y'all sing the hook?
Roxanne. Probably all of us and Full Force.
Okay.
But Full Force was definitely involved on singing vocals for sure. I'm trying to remember. I would say us and Full Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also read too about was it B Fine and Kid Kango was it true that they had an issue over a young lady and y'all ended up becoming friends after they squashed the beef or something?
Okay, so
I heard like a Full Force kind of a beef with UTFO, and I'm
so early on, we all went to Wingate High School. B Fine is a little older than me. I'm older than Kango. But we all went to the same high school. But I guess B Fine was dating when B Fine was probably already out by then. Okay. I think if I remember correctly, he was dating a girl that went to Wingate. Oh. And I think Kango liked the girl and maybe she went back and told B Fine, hey, it's this guy that keep bugging me. He won't leave me alone. No. He won't leave me alone. So that sort of thing. So I think that's where the riff came from. B Fine was going to go to the school to beat Kango up. And one of the guys from Cult Jam, Mike from Cult Jam, kind of intervened and played peacemaker.
He said, "What's the meaning of all this? Y'all don't have, listen. We're brothers.
Yeah. So because
we fighting each other.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I think maybe. Yeah. But anyway, Mike from Cult Jam ended up being the peacemaker to smooth it all out.
Yeah, and then y'all end up working together. Yeah, right? So it's a win. A win is a win.
A win is a win.
A win is a win.
Yeah.
And so just knowing about the history of that and just the Roxanne and everything, how did you all feel? How did UTFO respond to Roxanne's Revenge? Because we all saw the movie on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wonder what you all felt back, when the song first dropped. And, were you guys excited about it? Did you feel insulted?
So our record is taking off. It's killing.
Yeah.
It's a smash hit, hip hop hit. It's doing its thing. And we were having discussions among ourselves about possibly creating a female image for this, and maybe doing our own little thing. But to make a long story short, while our record is taking off and is killing the charts, Roxanne Shantae, which I believe at the time her name was Fly Shantae, and the Marley Marl Camp and them did an answer to our record.
Okay.
And what that answer did was put a face and a face to the Roxanne character that we didn't co-sign.
So it was unauthorized.
Well, it's our record. We weren't talking about you.
Right.
So what are you doing? What's going on here?
Right.
If we're if this is our record, we're gonna decide who's gonna be Roxanne, or at least our Roxanne. The whole record was about a girl that the MCs couldn't get.
Right.
It was an imaginary name. The person the record wasn't about anybody in particular. Be Fine from Full Force is the one that actually came up with the actual name.
Okay.
And because they wanted us to make, like I said, they wanted us to make a B side. So we was like, what are we gonna call it? We put all our energy into this hanging out thing. We don't got nothing for this. What do you want it to be? B-Fine said, I don't know, make it about a girl. They was like, oh, he said Roxanne.
Right.
B-Fine threw the name up in the air.
Well, okay.
The song
so
could have been
like,
called anything.
Right.
Could have been called Joanne, Mary,
Aisha.
Aisha. Roxanne was the name. Roxanne was the name that B-Fine threw out, and they was like, all right, fine. So they all wrote to that.
Okay.
And that's what they wrote to. And the raps came together, the beats came together, and
just creativity flying everywhere.
So when they answered the record, we were not happy.
I'm sure.
That's why y'all had to hurry up.
So
y'all had to make y'all song.
We were not happy. Yeah. That's why on the first album, we have a song called Calling Her a Crab.
Yeah.
The Calling Her a Crab was a diss to Shantae.
Oh, I see.
And then in the same token, we created the real Roxanne to be our chosen Roxanne. Since we must put a face to this, well, we're going to do that on our own.
Right. But she's like a Puerto Rican wavy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was the phenomenon was created at this point because now we make a record. Shantae makes an answer record, and we come back with the real Roxanne, which caused a rift between them two.
Oh, wow.
Then Sparky D jumps in on our side.
Oh, my gosh.
Going against Roxanne Shantae. So it was just... And then we didn't want to keep going on against her.
Right.
That's not a battle we would never win because we're guys.
Right.
She was like 14 at the time.
So you guys just let it go.
She wouldn't have never been our Roxanne anyway. She's too young.
Right. That's bad. Right.
She was just too young anyway. But we couldn't keep going back and forth with her.
Right.
At some point, we just got to bow out and just do our thing. And as a result, she got on and still is on doing phenomenal things. But as a result of our Roxanne record, a lot of artists came from that whole saga. In fact, possibly the whole Juice Crew.
Oh, wow.
Not to say that they wouldn't have never made it on their own. All of them MCs were very talented. But their spark came from the spark of Shantae answering our big hit record.
So that Response record put the Juice Crew in
a great position.
On point.
A great position.
Because they were coming up.
Because it put Marley on. It really put Marley out there.
Doing the beats.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so
that was Marley's idea.
UTFO.
It was a great idea though, on the low. I mean, it wasn't cool, but like, it was marketing. It was like, yo, do an answer.
Like, this is the biggest record. We might as well ride the coattails of what this record is doing in the city. And so, that's an incredible. You guys heard it here first on the Queen's Address. Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. So female rap. Okay. Now we have to talk about. This is a question for you. I'm gonna start with you, J. Rawls.
Okay.
But both of y'all started out as MCs, and so when did you know? When did you say, okay, producing is for me, DJing is definitely for me, and when did that like kind of spark for you? When did that
technically I started out beatboxing, right? And I went to rapping because my brother DJ Buka, who he knows, right?
Shout out to Buka.
Buka was Book was doing the DJing, kind of putting together the beats. And at the time when we was doing music on the south side of Columbus, we didn't have any equipment. We had his 2 turntables. So all of our beats was him back to back. Back to back. That was everything. So he would take 2 different joints or 2 of the same. We find a break, and that was the song. And I rapped. But what really did it was 1987 EPMD, You Gots to Chill. And we were going through my dad's records, and we found that. I was like,
wow.
I was like, whoa, that. Perfect. So from then on, I really put together that cats was going through the records and finding samples. And that's when I became a beat digger. I became a digging culture from that point on. So that's when we started going to Robert's Records, which was in the hood on Lockbourne, and we would just go up there probably every week and get records. You know, I mean, my little allowance, I was able to get like 2 or 3 records.
Right.
But that was a big deal. So we would get records, and we would just
you can't get enough. Like once you,
that was it. So that's when I started, and then we started learning on other people's equipment. I think that's probably how everybody learns how to make beats. Well, back in the day, now they just point and click.
Right.
But back then you had to borrow somebody's equipment to learn because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And the first thing I learned on was an Ensoniq EPS 16 Plus, and then the ASR 10 came out. And I was like, oh, Mom, I got to get this. And so, by the time that happened, I was in college, and she co-signed for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my first equipment. So my first equipment was the ASR 10, and that's what did it.
Oh, okay. Well, do you remember your first equipment, your very first equipment?
Wow. My humble beginnings were really humble. When we first started DJing, remember I told you before Kango and Doc got down with us and we started the UTFO movement, me and Educated Rapper used to be DJs in the crew called the Jamilah crew. So all of us had different pieces. One person had a turntable, another person had a turntable, this person had a mixer.
That makes sense.
This person had the basement because he had the freedom. This person had vinyl. We all was sneaking our mom and pop's vinyl.
Sneaking.
Some of us had jobs, some of us
So
didn't.
everybody had to bring a piece.
This one had headphones. This one had mics.
Yep.
This one knew how to hook up the speakers. This one had cables. So basically, in the beginning, our humble beginning started off with about 4 or 5 guys putting together a sound system piece by piece. Match turntables.
Talk about dedication.
Old mixers.
Man.
Sometimes we would. You might have one. You might have a James Brown album.
Right.
And I got the copy of it. So you
Now
got
you
one
got
and
two.
I got one.
Now you got 2.
But it's your dad's. It's my dad's. And we in trouble if we mess this
That's
record
right.
up.
You're right.
So we got to get it in and out the house, and we getting in trouble doing that as well. And those are some of my humble early beginnings. Me and them fellas putting together piece by piece till we had a sound system. So the key to this thing was who house it was at.
So it was a hideout. Y'all had to establish a hideout.
Whoever house it was at got to practice the most.
Oh, wow.
Whoever house it was at got to have fun. Because at some point, everybody got to go home. We young.
Right.
But while everybody's going, you in there.
You in there
You
practicing.
got your headphones on. You messing around.
Sound like you got to do all the practicing.
Well, my parents were strict, so I only could go so far with it.
Yeah.
But I did have it there at times. But then I might get in trouble. Now I'm on punishment. Now the fellas can't come over for a while. So it's got to go to this guy's house.
Okay.
So it's at his house now, but he can't make too much noise because of the neighbors.
Right.
So my boy Glenn, he had the most freedom out of everybody because Glenn might have been the oldest. So Glenn had the basement of where he lived with his mom and pops. So that's where it ended up predominantly.
Okay.
But we all had turns at our house with the stuff.
Wow.
But then it got to a point, like I said, we got to always go over there.
Right.
And we all are starving for this DJ game. So we all started getting our own equipment.
Oh, my goodness.
So Educated Rapper got a set. I ended up getting a set. My boy Tony ended up getting. We all ended up having sets.
Right,
our own
right.
turntables. Now the next key is to get the records. So you going through your mom and pop's records, and you got to try to find that extra one. Now the 12 inch is starting to come out, and you got to get the 12 inch. So those are just the humble beginnings, just trying to put together the early sound system before you're able to get your own.
Right.
I think I started off on tech. Well, when I was able to get my own, my first turntable was an Akai straight arm, and I was matching that up with something that maybe my boy Glenn had. Can't even remember what it was. But my first set of turntables that I had were some B1 techniques. They were called B1s. They were belt-driven turntables. So I had some B1s, and that's where I started off at, developing my DJ skills.
Right.
On some Technique B1s.
Right, the early years. B1s.
Yes.
Wow. That's incredible.
What mixer, you remember?
It had to be a Gemini something.
Okay.
Can't remember exactly which
Gemini.
one, but it had to be a Gemini. Big boy Gemini. probably like that.
So
19
I
inch.
came way.
They didn't have the small ones yet.
Yeah, they
had
didn't.
the big
They were
ones.
all big. I came way after you, but my first one was one of them Radio Shack, the realistic joints.
I remember them too.
Oh, wow.
I remember them too.
Wow.
Those are some of the early. We had some of them early Radio Shacks too.
Okay. Okay.
I think my first one was
Radio
I
Shack,
think I ended
wow.
up getting a used Gemini somehow. Somebody sold me a Gemini, or I got it from a pawn shop. Or
getting a Gemini.
I may have been a bad guy and
You might
jacked
have boosted.
somebody.
You might have boosted.
Yeah, I might have jacked somebody.
Because the Gemini was
Possible.
like,
Yeah,
Gemini was like, oh, you got money.
I was off the chain back
We
then.
ain't had no Geminis.
That must be the golden.
Yeah, at the time,
Gemini.
I had the realistic.
Look that up, y'all. The Gemini. Okay, so we got to get into this real quick. We got it, fellas. We got to talk about the stab scratch debate. Okay.
Okay.
So the hip hop community, some say within the hip hop community that Grand Wizard Theodore invented the stab scratch. Others debate between Grandmaster Flash and Mixmaster Ice. And so, can we set the record straight? Ice, did you invent the stab scratch?
To set the record straight,
Inquiring minds want to know, brother.
here's what it is. When it comes to hip hop, you have to be very, very careful when you say you started something.
Right.
And I will say this: those are my legends, and I stand on them dudes' shoulders. I stand on Grand Wizard Theodore's shoulder. Grand Wizard Theodore was the one I selected to induct me into the DJ Hall of Fame.
Wow.
He's the one that handed me
All
my
praises
plaque.
due, yeah.
Grandmaster Flash is all of our fathers. We stand on his shoulders.
Basically.
So a lot of techniques that DJs like myself learned from are a lot of the techniques that Flash, Theodore, Jazzy J, Bambaataa and his whole crew, and the whole Kool Herc's, and all the pioneer DJs. So many I can name. Tony Touch. I mean, not Tony Touch, but Tony Tone and Charlie Chase, DST. There's just so many great ones, you know. And then in Brooklyn we had great ones. We had Howie T, that was from my neighborhood. We had Grandmaster Fashion, that was another Brooklyn. Then Queens had the Disco Twins, and Queens had their own thing going on. Wow. Then Harlem had their own. So all the boroughs, when this hip hop thing started exploding, MCing, DJing, breakdancing, graffiti, everything is exploding at the same time, and every borough has their legends and their people putting on. Interesting. A lot of what we do and a lot of the techniques, Flash started a lot of them. What I will say is this: when it comes to different scratches, some people may start something one way and another person may do it another way. And what I mean by that is
styles.
Yeah, because it's hard for me to say who started something because the stab scratch is a one-dimensional scratch. It's not a lot of coordination. It's one swift movement to the front, you back it, cue it, front, back cue it. It's the same thing with the fader. You want the sound to come on, sound off. Sound on, sound off. Stabbing, you just stabbing. It's like a knife. You It's real simple, but it takes a lot of coordination. So some DJs were using cross faders.
Right.
Some DJs were using up faders.
Right.
Some DJs even had to use turn knobs.
Right.
So I don't like to be in a position to say who started something. But what I will say is all of us did it, but we all did it differently.
Right.
What I brought to the game was a crispy sharpness to mine.
Exactly.
So Flash
And it drove the kids crazy.
Flash has a version of what he does.
Right.
Theodore has a version of what he does. Jazzy J has a version of what he does. Charlie Chase. I mean, we all have versions of that basic scratch. You know, the rub. Jugga, 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 jugga. Who can say they was the first one to do that?
Right.
Because that's how you cue your record up.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a hard debate because everybody does that. So to say who was the first to do that,
it's hard to.
That first may have been inspired by somebody else. Who we think is the first,
like a nameless, faceless,
may have been inspired. You know, even
right.
Flash. If I say, well, Flash was the first one to do this, Flash might correct me like, no, I actually got that from such and such.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who knows?
Right.
I'm just saying. But you know, I would say I'm the one who probably made it popular.
Popularized the stab scratch.
I will definitely say that.
Okay. No,
because
I
really
could understand that.
I really put it out there in the forefront with the Roxanne Roxanne record.
Right.
And it's very isolated, very crispy, and very clean.
Right.
And that is the blueprint for most DJs when it comes to the stab scratch.
Right. Well, you heard it here first, y'all. Okay. Listen.
That's how I learned trying to do that. Trying to do Roxanne.
Look, yeah. All of young guys in the neighborhood were trying to get it like, frustrated. Like you set the whole culture on fire.
And once again, I'm just fortunate to be in a position to popularize it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Everybody has their own way and their own style. I just was able to be one of the first to give it to the world.
Yes, sir.
You feel me?
And we thank you. And we thank you for that. And so we want to go to Jay Rawls real quick. Jay Rawls, I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
How did you meet Jay Sands, and how did y'all form Lone Catalyst?
I met Jay Sands through Buka in Buka's basement. And we were just talking. He was such an incredible MC. And I was like, yo, you know, you dope. Like, you know, I'll come up to Columbia. He said, man, I go to school at University of Cincinnati. I was like, so do I. Right. And that was it. And then we just started creating like every night. We just made music every night. Like we go to school, go to class. And you started producing beats while in college in Cincinnati. No, I started before, but I had my own equipment. I got my own equipment in '94. So your breakthrough. I mean, that's when I started actually doing it for real. Oh, okay. When I was in college. Okay. And because I had my own equipment. Right. Remember what I was saying, like kind of like how Ice was saying, when I had to go to other people's house to make a beat. So I couldn't, you know, until I got my own, and I got my own in '94, and then that's what changed the game because I was making beats 24/7. Like I would go to class. No, oh my God! I left the equipment here. I ain't trust nobody. Oh, well, I ain't trust the dorms. But, hey, I could understand. So I was home every weekend. I could understand. I was home every weekend doing laundry and making beats. Yep, making beats every weekend. But then I got my apartment that next year, and that's when I brought it down. And when I ended up working with Fat John, Home Skillet, Dante, everybody. Wow. Like that's how. Shouts to Dante. That's how it happened. And then it just and I met all of them through Jay Sands, and so it was just like everybody was making music, and so we were all, you know, doing our thing, and met High Tech, and he was like working with some kid coming from Brooklyn on the Greyhound bus. It was like, who was this kid? And this kid was coming, and he was dope. That turned out to be Talib Kweli, right? And so that's how all of that sparked. It wasn't. It was very organic. Shout out to Black Star. Right? Yeah, it was very organic. There was nobody that said, "Hey, we're going to take this and create this, and it's going to do this." That didn't happen. It was just us creating music because we loved it. You know, those was the good old days. There was no money involved. There was no timetable. We didn't have to get it in by a deadline.
Love for the hobby.
Yeah, man. It was just fun. Like that's all we did. It was like air. Was creating. Like we just created music, and that's all we did. And I kind of miss that. I ain't gonna lie. Like nowadays,
it has an innocence to it.
Yeah,
it was exciting. I remember getting excited about going to the CD and tape outlet and finding something new, and just being like, "Oh man!" Like how we were at the record store the other day, and it was just kind of like, "Yo, I remember this, but I remember this, you know." And so you just keep going and going and going, and it's just incredible. Yep. But yeah. Do you have a favorite hip hop movie?
Favorite hip hop movie is probably Beat Street.
Mine is too.
Yeah, probably just and not the love story part. I ain't gonna lie, because I was like,
but Jazzy J was in that one too. Didn't he make an appearance in Beat Street?
He was definitely in that.
Yo, Jazzy.
Right. But it was the b-boy scenes, the battle scenes that really just.
And like, Lee and
that really for me.
I want to take Lee to prom when I was a little girl.
Oh God,
him or Turbo.
That gave us that, and Breaking was dope, but Beat Street was more gritty. It was more that New York.
It was cold outside.
Yeah, the Thames and stuff. It just felt like
they were hooking up electricity in the apartment.
It just felt good. So yeah, Beat Street.
Beat Street is mine. Mixmaster Ice, do you have a favorite hip hop
Oh,
movie?
I love them all, man. But I may give an edge to Wild Style.
Yeah.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Wild
I may give an edge to that. I like that. I even like Crush Grooving. I mean,
Crush Groove was dope.
But breaking, all of them. But if I had to pick one, I might go with Wild Style. I love that.
And Wild Styles for me as well.
It was raw.
Yeah.
It was gritty.
Cold Crush in there.
Some
Yeah.
good samples off of that too.
Yeah.
Like I love those movies. So many great hip hop samples from hip hop movies. You millennials, check it out. Okay?
No
And
doubt.
so the fans want to know top 5. Top 5 dead or alive. You guys, any takers or you want to pass?
Top 5 dead or alive. What category?
Hip hop.
Oh,
Hip hop what?
Hip hop MCs.
hip hop MCs.
Yeah.
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay.
Top
Good
5.
luck. I don't know how you did.
Rakim,
Okay. Let's go.
God, MC.
Tupac,
Okay.
Melly Mel.
That's so hard.
You better not pass. You better not pass, Jason.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go after that with. This way it gets tough.
See,
Okay, I got Rakim in there. And I gotta go with it's tough.
rough.
It gets tough because right there. It's so many.
It's so many.
you see how he stuck on
Yeah,
3, right?
yeah.
You need to do top 3. That's a little easier. But all these tops, I'm telling you, fans, y'all want to know.
Listen, the
tops
fans
is
want
up.
to know.
Tops,
We got Mixmaster Ice
tops
and
is
J.
tough.
Rawls in the building. The
You
fans
see him
wanna
struggling.
know.
Look, fans.
I'm gonna let you go ahead while I marinate on my other
Okay,
two.
you got 5?
No.
You got 5 on it.
I
Come
ain't got-
on,
I
come
might
on.
have a couple.
You're
on
gonna
it.
pass?
No, I'll tell you, I've got. I don't have a top 5 because my mood
I know that's
switches. It switches so much. I'll be honest with you. Right now,
Give me
I'm
your
listening.
number 1.
I'm listening. I can't. My number 1 is probably Jay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a Jay-Z fan.
See, I'm Nas.
But Jay.
Nas.
Nas is everything.
Right.
Jay.
Nas.
So what
Nas.
separate Jay from Nas?
Jay is
What
just
gives
Jay. Jay is just. I can't even describe it. It's just how it makes me feel. Right. Everything for me
You
is the
connect to
feeling.
it. Yeah.
Everything for me is a feeling. But I'm
It's
gonna be
a vibe.
honest. What am I listening to right now? Who am I bumping? King Vader. Right. I switch. My favorites might go somewhere. Last week I was listening to Poor Righteous Teacher, so I could say Wise Intelligent. I mean, I don't.
But I think she
It
wants to know
depends
your.
on the mood.
I can't. That's what I'm saying.
But I think she's saying of your all time.
I can't. I don't know.
Maybe not so much who you listening now, like of all time.
But that's my favorite. That's who I mean. I love them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
sit here
No,
and
I
say
can
Grand
understand
Puba
that.
moves me to a certain. I can't pick just the top 5.
Yeah,
Right.
it's very difficult.
That's so hard to do because.
No, I understand.
But I will tell you that probably one of my favorite lyricists is Jay-Z. And that's the thing. I hate to say that because he's so mainstream. There's so many others.
But if it's your truth,
But another is Master Ace.
Master Ace is
Common.
crazy.
Like
I
these
like
are some of
G-Rap.
my
I like Cool
favorite.
G-Rap.
G-Rap is everything.
I feel like when I
so
listen, when
so
I
you
feel
got
like,
5 there. Is that your 5?
Yeah, but I feel like when I
Because
no,
it
for
might
real.
be different tomorrow.
Like I like Styles P.
Yep.
Like he's in my top 5.
Yeah.
Like and people
that.
be like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
love Styles. Like I
Styles
feel
is nice.
he's crazy. Like and I absolutely love Busta. You know,
And
but
then,
I also feel like he's kind of
I be
mainstream
forgetting
too.
people I know. You know another one that's probably always in my top something. I just don't know. Jay Elect.
Jay Electronica is
Jay
crazy.
Elect.
Jay Electronica, put out some more music. I don't know what's going on.
What is
That
going
5
on?
is a tough one. You know
See,
who?
he's still stuck
But,
to it.
No,
but
no,
you know
we
what
go-
though?
listen.
I have so many MCs that I really rock
Really
with.
rock with.
But
I like
Rakim-
Prodigy.
Rakim,
Prodigy.
I'm a big Prodigy fan.
Yes.
R.I.P. Prodigy.
Yeah.
I
I like Jada Kiss.
like
in
Jada
that-
Kiss too.
Yeah.
I like a lot of people that people ain't heard of.
So let's rephrase it. Let's kind of switch the context a little bit. You DJing the show. Who's on the bill? Who you putting on the bill? Who's headlining? Who's in that show?
Wow.
Wow.
That kind of depends
That's
on where
the glory question.
All right, so See, that's
that
here's,
make it even tougher.
here's
Here
why
we
that,
go.
here's
And
where
it's
that's
tough.
tough again because now you're dealing with groups
Yep.
versus
Audience.
solo artists and duels.
And it don't matter. So who on the bill? You could be
Rakim,
Okay.
God,
Let's go to God.
KRS-One,
Okay. The teacher.
That's a good one.
give me some.
See, you back to
Oh my
breathing.
God.
See how tough it
It's
is.
Let me go. Let me grab a West Coast.
Oh,
Give me,
he's
give me,
stressing.
give me Ice Cube. Put Ice
Okay.
Cube in there.
Ice Cube is incredible.
He's being PC.
Incredible lyricist.
Give me. Oh my God.
Cube,
Cause
KRS.
see, it's beyond the mic. It's the performance. It's
Yeah.
the presence. It's rocking the crowd. It's MCing. It's
Yeah, give me the whole Wu-Tang.
I know that's right.
He said the whole Wu-Tang.
Yep.
God,
If we gonna go there,
And we doing a show. I'm getting the whole. I got Wu-Tang performance.
you gonna sell out.
And give me I got one more to go. A show. And,
see, he
and,
come from a millionaire standpoint.
and give me and give me give me Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh,
The
the entertainer. Okay. And
That's a live show.
that's a show. You're not gonna be able to find a parking space in that show. Mixmaster Ice Throwdown. Okay, is going down. I think I'm gonna skip top 5 hip hop groups because I couldn't even answer that. I couldn't even, but we hope to see hip hop groups make a comeback, and so top 3 hip hop voices. When we go to voices, I got 3. I got KRS, DMC, Nas, honorable mention Ice Cube and Chuck D. KRS has a commander. I was just saying earlier, if KRS was my dad and KRS said, "Yo, go clean your room," I'd be like, "Yes, sir."
But what
he
about
has that voice, that booming voice with that
voice?
accent.
I'm gonna give you a voice I like.
3
Snoop,
voices.
Snoop voice.
I love Snoop.
Snoop's voice is just like
He goes in it. The flow is
yeah,
like
it's
silk.
like I mean, there's no question
like
of who that
milk.
is rapping.
Yes.
I'm gonna say another one, John Robinson.
John
For
Robinson's
those who
crazy.
don't know, look him up. His voice, like I'm talking about unique voices, where
Yeah.
like you could be like, oh yeah, that's Jr.
Yeah.
That's Snoop.
I love when
I
you
don't
know
about a
exactly
third.
who it is.
It's
Within
you don't
the
even
first
have to,
couple of notes.
Yeah. And Doom.
Yeah.
You can say that about
Yes,
MF
sir.
Doom.
Did you get the shirt?
That's a voice.
Boom. Yes.
That's
yes.
a voice. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
Zev Love X.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like DMX too. He's on my honorable mention. I like DMX for my honorable.
That's a voice.
Rest in peace, DMX.
I'm gonna name, in my opinion, the greatest hip hop voice so far,
Okay.
and that is to the late great Ecstasy of Houdini.
Yes, sir.
That voice and
That was a
cadence on
voice,
him,
too. That's a voice.
Ooh.
I think it's unmatched.
That's a voice right there.
I think it's unmatched. Ecstasy of Houdini. We talking about voices
Incredible
in hip hop.
voice. Very commanding voice.
Another voice for me personally, is Scarface from the Ghetto Boys.
Oh wow.
The act.
Something
Wow.
about his tone and his flow, but that voice.
Wow.
We talking voices. And then this may throw people for a loop, but when it comes to voices, I was really big on Educated Rapper and Chubb Rock.
Yes,
their
sir.
voices.
Chubb Rock was unique. He had a very
Yes.
unique.
Yes.
Come on, Jay. Now I got one for you. Top 3 diss tracks.
Man, I get asked this one all the time. I don't even know why. Why everybody like the diss
Well,
tracks,
I'll
man?
give you my 3. I got No Vaseline by Cube, The Bridge is Over by KRS, and number 1 for me is Ether, Nas. Ether was like I got to talk about the wordplay. The wordplay in Ether was well thought out, well executed, and it felt like an assassination with words for me.
I mean, with that for me, just because I've been asked that a couple billion times, probably like definitely the No Vaseline, just because I'm a big Cube fan.
Yeah,
but
shouts to Cube.
The Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
People sleep on Jack the Ripper all day, but probably the one of the best ones for me is The Bitch in You. Because nobody expected Common to come back. Everybody thought he was just gonna sit back, relax, take that. And Common said no.
Because he was supposed to be the peaceful brother
Yep.
with the knowledge of self, so
Yep.
nobody expected Common to come through
And he
like
came
that.
right back.
And he was blazing the mic.
And that song is hard. The beat is great.
Blazing the mic. I said,
Bitch
yo,
in You.
what about the Peaceful Brother in Chicago and all the, and I said, no, he was ready. He was ready, man. Oh my gosh. Now we got top 3 hip hop riffs. And I'm going to go with Paid in Full. It's one of my favorites. When I hear it, I'm just like, it's crazy. And then, shouts to Eric B. and Rakim. But then Glaciers of Ice with Ghost and Ray. Blue Raspberry.
Glaciers
It's like
of
she's
Ice
powering up for something.
such
like
an incredible joint.
And then Ghost comes in with like straight up and down. It's all good. So I'm just like, yo, this song is crazy. So it's one of my favorite riffs.
Wow.
And my number 1 was actually tossed up between If I Ruled the World at that, and then of course that Ghostface that on Sure Sailor Ghost. So Mixmaster Ice, you got any riffs that come to mind?
He's thinking.
Riffs.
Yeah, just melodic riffs, no words, just in hip hop.
Probably it's an old record called "Love Is the Message." It's got all kind of riffs in there. Love Is the Message. To Be Real.
Oh wow!
By
Yeah, that's because you didn't.
yeah. That To Be Real, and probably
Look at that musician.
something
Look at that
Public
musician.
Enemy, something Public Enemy, but
Yeah.
Public Enemy stuff, most of it comes from James Brown.
Yeah.
But that Terminator X record, the Terminator X record,
Rocks with his hands, or what was it called?
yeah,
Speak with his hands?
but that whole
that makes me
damn
think.
that oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
I don't- yeah, but it's right in the beginning where it starts off. I don't know I forget what sample that's from.
Terminator X Rock speaks with his hands, or rocks with his hands.
Yeah, is that record?
song?
That record, how it starts
I
off.
don't remember how it goes.
Oh my god, that record right there! Every time I hear it, it do something to me. I'm a huge James Brown fan. So
Yeah.
anything, all the
It's
rips,
funky.
most of them rips come from James Brown.
Absolutely.
That the Bomb Squad sampled for PE. They really went through James Brown catalog heavy. But that Terminator X record I'm talking about,
Yeah.
there's a part in that song that just drives me nuts. That ain't
Not
it.
off the
J.
first.
Ross
That's the
trying to
first.
find
one.
it.
No.
y'all.
The Terminator X DJ record. That's it. That record right there.
That's
I'm gonna show you the part I'm talking about.
because this is
This right here.
Flash Gordon,
Watch this.
Flash Gordon.
That. Watch this.
It's Flash Gordon, Queen.
That part.
Oh, how glorious! Cause it's mixed in. Oh, I should have known that Mixmaster Ice would have a scratched in riff.
That's
Even
a
that
good
right
one.
there. That.
Now that's definitely James Brown.
All of that.
That's definitely
But
James
all of that
Brown.
right there.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, that does something to me, man.
It's beautiful.
I could just see the dance floor
It's
jumping.
beautiful.
That does something to me, man. That does something to me
Wow.
right there.
Wow.
I agree. You are right. That's
wow,
a good
that's
call.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's a real
That
good
sounds
call.
amazing.
I sampled all that. I'd use it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
wow.
a movie.
Yes,
That's
it is.
a movie.
Wow.
Flash Gordon, the original
Oh
one.
my goodness.
It just goes to show you where we take a piece of this and a piece of that and add
make
it
it
to
glorious.
the culture.
That's
That's the culture,
hip-hop.
ladies and gentlemen. That's
hip
the
hop.
culture.
That's why hip hop is so everything.
Okay, absolutely. Now we got top 3 hip hop producers. I couldn't do this. I told y'all earlier because I ended up with Large Professor, Dr. Dre, The Alchemist, RZA, J. Rawls, Just Blaze, DJ Premier, J. Dilla, Pharrell, Kanye, Swizz Beatz, Madlib, Pete Rock, Hit Boy, and Ninth Wonder. So I guess the list kept going, and I just finally wrote down all of them.
I was about to say that.
So any takers, Mixmaster?
Go
Ice?
ahead. Let's
Do
see.
you have
Ice.
top 3?
Top 3 hip hop producers.
Top 3.
he got that. That's easy.
Just 3. If there was only 3.
I'm gonna go. Well, that's tough, man. But I'm adding Larry Smith.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm adding Larry Smith in there.
I'm also writing down for
knew him.
homework.
I'm adding hip hop producers.
Hip hop producers.
I'm going to go Marley Marl
Okay. Shout out to Marley.
for his catalog.
That's a cat.
And I also am going to go with DJ Premier.
DJ Premier. Yes. No, that's an incredible
So
list.
for me, I got a shirt with some of my own. Of course, Dilla. I mean, he just influenced me. But Q-Tip.
Q-Tip is incredible.
People sleep on Q-Tip.
Absolutely insane.
Something about Q-Tip for me.
Yeah.
Prince Paul.
Prince Paul is incredible.
Something
Shouts to
about
Prince Paul.
Yep.
Like when you think of that whole De La, that whole just
Shouts to De La Soul too. They
So-
just got they
and Pete Rock.
Glory
I mean,
back,
these are
yeah.
people that I'm talking about that changed how I make production.
right.
That's where I'm kind of thinking like it made me think of producing in a different way.
Right.
That's how I'm doing my top whatever I just gave you.
Yeah.
That's a good list.
Yeah. No, I think that's incredible.
That's a good list.
And so, yeah, man. And so we are definitely glad to have had you both in the studio.
Word.
Thank you for coming to the Queen's Address.
Word.
Pleasure.
50 years
1973
of hip-hop.
is the date they give.
Okay, we got it in here, and we are so thankful. And we'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Queen's Address. I'm Jamilah. Peace and love.